Welcome back to the channel. Before we jump into today's video, I'll ask that you take a second to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Doing this helps the YouTube algorithm connect us with even more audiences, so it's greatly appreciated. On to today's subject, dynamics in music. Now, dynamics are all relative. For example, a melody marked forte being played by an unaccompanied flute will have a different volume than that same forte melody being performed by, let's say, the entire brass section of the orchestra. Balancing dynamics of the orchestra is a key responsibility of the conductor. Choosing how loud loud is and how soft soft is can yield tremendous results in a performance. Now, sometimes a composer will write a crescendo in the music, which signifies to get louder, but doesn't indicate the dynamic at which that crescendo leads to. In cases like this, it is the conductor's responsibility to make an executive decision, factoring in any context clues they can find in the score, or maybe even other pieces written by the same composer. Now, the time in history in which a piece of music was written also impacts dynamic choices. For example, we know that orchestras during Mozart's time typically contained fewer string players than those of our modern orchestras of today. So, a conductor will need to decide whether they want to reduce the number of strings performing the Mozart symphony, or perhaps slash the dynamics in half to create a more appropriate balance. Instruments were also different in that time period. For instance, trumpets as we know them today with valves did not exist. What were used instead were called natural trumpets, and natural trumpets were much softer and have a much darker tone than the modern day trumpet. So, a conductor needs to decide whether they want the trumpet players in the orchestra to use natural trumpets or modern trumpets. And if they do use modern trumpets, should they play all their dynamics softer to create a more authentic balance? These are just a few dynamic factors that a conductor must take into consideration when performing any piece of music.